So what's up, everybody? It's the Tabletop Tyrant, and as promised, I'm here with the army breakdown. So we're going to be doing Orcs and Goblins Tribes Almanac and kind of covering it. Really interesting stuff. A little introduction for people that don't know. Orcs are always looking for the biggest fight. They want to beat the tar out of anything they can that's smaller than them. And Goblins are sneaky, and they like taking the underhanded approach. And it's not uncommon to see them sticking a little stab in between the ribs of their Orc war boss if it means that they get to be the successor. Orcs and Goblins are a really interesting army. I personally have loved them since 6th edition. There's been some cool changes and some unique changes like Impetuous over Animosity. And honestly, the army for me is one of my favorites, and I hope that anyone that does do the Orcs and Goblins is able to see why after this. So moving on, we're going to go and kind of talk about their army quirks. Now, let's do this. Boom. Oh yeah, that's right, baby. You see that PowerPoint proficient? Boom. Boom. Hit that. So, we have two types of army special rules. Now, we're seeing a little bit of flavor come out, which is really interesting in these almanacs. I really dig it. We got a Nomadic Wog and a Troll Horde, and you're going to normally typically see this Nomadic Wog be all just fast-moving chariots, cav, freaking goblins, all this stuff. It's going to be awesome. And with the trolls, you're going to see a very big emphasis on, obviously, trolls, right? And I would say even shamans and of the such like that. So let's get into it. So cunning hunters. Any number of goblin wolf riders may have ambusher special rule for 1 point, and the characters can take it for 10. Really awesome, really good thing, especially since they're not limiting it. Hit them fast and hit them hard. Any orc model or on a war board, whether it be black orc to shaman, they gain impact hits +1 using the strength of the war board when inflicting these hits. And also make sure you don't forget that there is an AP1 to that. Now, in addition to this, orc board boy mobs, 1 per 1,000 points, may have Vanguard upgraded for 1 point per model. Now that is freaking dope. You take a unit of 10, give them Vanguard, move those big suckers up on the tabletop in the beginning, really get to close the gap on your opponent, put the pressure on. Hunting packs. Any Wolf Rider mob may exchange Open Order and Skirmisher for Close Order and Horde. Personally, I see a lot of validity to this. I like having big bricks of just cavalry when I do this list in my head, of just big bricks of Goblin Wolf Riders moving in and crunching down on the enemy. Close Order is going to give you that +1 to combat res, and Horde's going to allow you to count an extra rank of troops towards your combat res bonus. So I believe you'll be able to count 2 ranks rather than 1. Really nice, really good to have, Probably you could do 6x3, I don't know, just what I'm throwing out there. And then now this is one of the big ones. On the move, all characters must be mounted. That shouldn't be a problem, considering now black orcs can take chariots. Yeah, pretty terrifying. And then there's solitary fighters. So black orcs bosses within the Wog army are not subject to the boys or quell Impetuous, so they no longer get rid of Impetuous. And now for every black orc unit, you don't need to take it per black orc big boss and vice versa. So in the traditional orcs, you have to take 1 unit of black orcs, you have to have a big boss. If you take a black orc big boss, you have to have a unit of black orcs. That's kind of the way that it rolls, and they got rid of that in solitary fighters, making the black orcs a little bit more versatile in how you can use them. And honestly, I would trade my Quell Impetuosity for that. Now we're going to move to Troll Horde. These guys are interesting. I covered them in Ogdag Swamp Digger, or Ogdra Swamp Digger, lore right here. We'll talk about him a little later. Enhanced regeneration. So they reroll failed regen saves against non-magical attacks. That's okay, but a lot of things have magical attacks now, so you won't be finding it super useful like you would maybe giving all your Wolf Riders ambush and giving your Orcs Vanguard. Your Orc Boar Boys nonetheless Vanguard. Now they have Oi Disway. Unless fleeing, they trolls or anything with stupidity can use the Orc Shaman, Gobbo Shaman, Troll Hag's leadership instead of their own. And then there's Troll Magic, which is Troll Tongue. So there's a whole new era of magic powers that are coming about, and we're going to talk about them. Bam! Right now. Look at that. Science and reason. So Troll Magic's interesting. I'm going to give you a brief description, and this is out of the Almanac. It's just like the first couple sentences. Despite its primitive appearance, Troll Magic is as potent on the battlefield as any form of arcane power, as its practitioners conjure forth great torrents of corrosive bile and whirlpools of foul liquid that sunder and soil all they touch. So pretty much, they're throwing up on you. I'll just summarize that. Let's keep it real. But you do get 6 spells. And now we're going to start with the Big Smarts, which is a signature spell. So its casting value is 8, range is self, and it's an enchantment, and it also remains in play, which is pretty dope. Units within command range of this model may reroll stupidity checks. Also, if they failed a stupidity check previously, before this spell went off, they can reroll it and see if they're still stupid. That's interesting. Kind of weird that they wouldn't just make the spell take place before stupidity checks were taken, but what do I know? I don't write the rules. There's Acidic Bile, right? So this is your first spell you roll off on. Its casting value is 9 with a range of 18 inches, and it's a magic missile. You place a 3-inch template over a target unit. Make sure the hole lines up with the model. That is something I see a lot of people messing up on. You can't just center the hole where it's over the majority of models. That center hole has to be underneath. A model has to be seen through the hole. And then you scatter at D3 plus 1. Any models underneath suffer a strength 3 hit with AP minus 2. Now this is really good against anything that's toughness 3 because you're rolling 4s to wound. But also if you want to be a little risque and throw it on Chaos Warriors, and whatever you do get through, say they take additional hand weapons and no shields, they're only a heavy armor, so they're gone. There's no armor save there, and they're not in Chaos armor, so they don't get a ward save. So I find that spell to be really disgusting and something that I could see a lot of people trying to get when they roll. You get Troll Brains coming up next. That's number 2. It's a casting value of 9, 15-inch range, and it's a hex. It remains in play. The target in the unit that got targeted by this now subject to stupidity, and they reduce their leadership by minus 1. It's not the greatest one. It's like if you have to roll for these, so it's like you can make it work if it's random and you got it all messed up, but you obviously want something else. Yeah, so Ravenous Recourse, its range is self, it's a conveyance spell, and until the end of the next turn, friendly units that have the stupidity special rule gain +2 to their movement. Now that is allowing your trolls to just cover massive amounts of ground. 2 inches may not seem like a lot, but it's the difference between someone failing a charge trying to get at you and you making that charge in the later game, or even just maneuvering. So I would take it. Trolls already have a movement 6, make that 2 and puts them at 8. That's pretty freaking tough to deal with. Moving on to Photide Whirlpool. This is number 4, and casting value is a 9 up. Its range is 18 inches. It's a magical vortex and the 3-inch template. The center hole must be within 18 inches of the caster, which was unlike the other one. And whilst in play, the template must be treated as dangerous terrain, and it scatters D6 at the start of every turn, even your opponent's. And it goes in a random direction. Anything touched by this template suffers D3 plus 3 strength 4 hits at AP minus 2. I'm noticing a pretty dope trend about AP here, so you're just going to be wiping out people's armor. I better hope you don't have knights. Maybe people take those chosen knights, those pesky people like countercharge like me, and you just throw that at them and watch them enjoy their sadness. Torrent of Filth. That's number 5. It's an 8 to cast. Its range is combat, and it's an assailant spell. Obviously, it's combat. You take the flame template, put in the narrow part towards the base of your model. If I'm overstating the obvious, it's because like there are new people in this hobby, and I have seen this stuff messed up, so I'm just overstating it for anyone that may be new watching this. Any model, friend or foe, under the template risk being hit with a strength 3 AP 2 hit. Now also remember with templates, don't forget the partials, right? So if it's not completely covered by the template, you have to roll a die, and I believe a 1, 2, 3 they're hit, and a 4, 5, 6 they're good. It might be vice versa, but check that up in your template rules and see what it says, because some people are still playing with the previous edition where it's like everyone's getting hit. There are partials in this, which I do thoroughly enjoy. I enjoyed it back during 40k, and I'm glad they brought it back with Fantasy. Rapid Regeneration 6 is a casting value of 9 with a 12-inch range. It's an enchantment, and the target unit gets a regen save of 5 up, and they become flammable. It's kind of like Troll Guts from the Ogre Kingdom's army. Throw it on the units that's about to bro down with another one. Maybe, I don't know, a Black Orcs you could, and laugh as they stay alive, and the enemy does not. And then also you can give them the Mad Lads banner, which we'll talk about later, and give them Frenzy. Additional hand weapon, Orcs with Frenzy banner with regeneration is mean but funny. Alright, Orcs and Goblins magic items. Now we got some magic weapons coming up here. You know what? I think the bigger, choppier axe is my favorite, but we all have our own, and I could see Backstabber's Blade being something a majority of people get down on. So the bigger, choppier axe is strength plus 2, AP 2, killing blow, magical attacks, requires 2 hands and strikes last. Now it's kind of like the Ogre Blade, but 10 points cheaper, getting strikes last, but also gaining killing blow. That's why I see the validity to it. It allows you to take an amulet or a talisman of protection and give yourself a 5-up ward save too while having a beefy weapon. Striking last sucks, but when you charge, you're +3 initiative and you're going to be initiative 4, so you're not going to be doing all that bad. You're going to want to put it on someone that you know is going to hit that charge. Mortog's Beast Basha, strength +1, AP 2, magical attacks, requires 2 hands, +1 the weapon skill and initiative. For 50 points though, it's just, I don't know. Like, it's not a bad call, but it's not my first go-to. For 5 more points, you get Killing Blow and +2 strength and AP 2. So there's just like no armor saves going on with that. So I don't know. You do strike at initiative though, and your initiative does go up. I don't know. It's a tie. I don't know. What would you guys pick? I'm Kefuddled. I like big bash and choppers, so I think the first one. But would you guys take Mortog's Beast Basha or Best Basha? Oh, I'm pronouncing that wrong. The Acrite Axe. So the Acrite Axe is strength +1, armor bane 1, so on a 6, your AP, magical attacks, reroll failed to hit rolls, and the strength modifier is only for the first round of combat, and it's 30 points. Throw that in the bin. I don't like it. I'm not going to care for it. Just get it out of here. Garbaggio. I would almost say there's the blade that gives you frenzy. I would take that over that one for sure. The Backstabber's Blade, strength 1, AP -1, magical attacks, goblin, night goblin bosses only. So if you hit the flank, you reroll your to hits. If you hit the rear, you reroll your to hits into wounds. Maybe you could kind of put that on somebody that's on a chariot and finagle that chariot to go around and hit someone's rear and just kind of capitalize on that. But hard to see like a goblin regiment being that tough or sticking around that long to get the rear. Maybe a flank, but the rear, I don't think so. So we got some magic armor coming up here in Talisman. So we got the Dead Art armor, and I actually really appreciate this, but it was worded like a bit funny. So it's 35 points, and it says Black Orc bosses, as long as they're infantry, troop type, or cavalry only, can take full plate, and it's a +1 to toughness. So for that, you get full plate and toughness +1, so 4-up save. But they could have just said cannot be mounted on a wyvern and saved like all that sentence, but who am I? After writing all this, I imagine the writers get a little bit tired. The Spiteful Shield, or maybe they have to over-clarify it, I don't know. The Spiteful Shield, 20 points to shield. If an enemy rolls a 1 to hit or to wound, the attacker suffers a strength 4 hit. It's cool, definitely something I'd run in the narrative campaign, or maybe even like on a hero. But I think it's funny that like if you roll a 1 to hit or wound, you're going to hurt yourself. I don't know, it's cool. I'm probably going to try and implement it. Talismans, the Sparkly Wizard Finder, 45 points, you get magic res -2 and hatred towards enemy wizards. Now the only army I can really see this taking advantage of is like a vampire counts army, where like maybe they upgrade their vampire lord to be a wizard and all that stuff. Then there's going to be an abundance of them, but most of the time they're going to take that challenge on the champion if you charge a unit with a wizard in it. And if they accept with the wizard's got to be pretty freaking scary knowing that he's going to stare that down and beat it. But yeah, I can't see that being very good, personally. There's other better talismans to take for cheaper. And then the Effigy of Mork is 35 points and attacks directed towards the bearer of this model during the combat phase, suffering -1 to hit roll. It's pretty self-explanatory, -1 to hit. It could put you at 5s to hit, could put someone at 4s to hit. It could put someone at 3s to hit, but I mean, 35 points for that potential, I don't know. Not worth it in my opinion. What do you guys think? Any of this stuff worth it to y'all? Now here we go, my favorite, the Dead Angry Lad's Flag. Oh no, the Angry Lad's Flag. We'll just forget I said that first part. 35 points and gain Frenzy. Like I said, throw in a Black Orc, give him the Troll Guts, call it a day. The Spider Banner, 35 points a unit, gains poison attacks. If you have poison, add +1 to the roll. So if you're poison 6-up, you become poison 5-up. That's cool if you have a list built around poison attacks and like maybe Spider Riders. Definitely something you could capitalize on. The Banner of the Nomads is interesting. It's 25 points. Now you could put that on a unit of like orcs, maybe the ones you put Vanguard on. And what they'll do is they'll get to re-roll that 1 when charging, fleeing, or pursuing. And then you do this before discarding the lowest dice. So obviously if you roll a 4 and a 1, you can re-roll that 1, maybe get a 5 or 6. Okay, next we got Banner of the Wilds. It's 20 points and you get moved through cover. Decent, 20 points, throw it on a unit banner. It's decent, why not? Now, enchanted items, here we go. The Necklace of Blessed Teeth, 50 points, reroll any armor, ward save, regen roll of a 1. Yeah, 50 points for that. Yeah, pass on that. That's a, what do they call that? A left swipe? I'm left swiping that. What the heck up out of here. Grizzly Trophy Racks. 30 points. It's a Black Orc boss, Goblin, Knight, Goblin. Enemy used within 6 inches of the leader are -1 to leadership to a minimum of 2. That's okay. I would put on like a unit champion more than I would like an actual character. I think maybe they could make more use out of it. Especially if you're taking like a majority Goblin list, you could use that to fill up points in core. I don't know. And then the Thinking Orcs, at 25 points, gain +1 initiative. In addition, any unit that joins does not have Impetuous. That's not bad. It's not a bad thing to take. I mean, think of it like this. You could put that on a champion and an Orc Boar unit, give it to that Black Orc who no longer has Quell Impetuous, and then go through and kind of just ride around and mess people up with your Vanguard. Pretty cool. The Staff of Badum is 55 points. You apply a D3 modifier to your roll. However, if you roll double 1s or double 6s, you're double screwed. Because you center a large 5-inch blast template over you, and then everything underneath it suffers, I believe, a strength 6 hit at AP -1. Friend or foe, by the way. So, you're going to pay if you really mess that up. The Idol of Gork increases your range by 3 inches, and you can reroll a casting roll once per turn. That is not bad. That is really good. Say if you really need a spell to go off, like, I don't know, that Troll Guts, you can really re-roll that and get that spell off, and it gives you that little extra oomph to keep you out of someone's dispel range, maybe. Okay, going on. So, you're like probably like, Tyrant, I can't take that because I don't have the Troll magic. I'm not going to take the Troll thing. That's cool. Take Death Hag's Brew for 25 points. Orc Shaman, Goblin, Night Goblin Shaman can take it, and it allows you to draw the lore of the Troll magic. Now, I do believe it replaces, so if you were going to take Wog, this would then substitute the Wog magic and take Troll. You can't roll on both or pick and choose. So it's either one or the other, and you would roll as random, and you can still discard it and take another one from that other lore that you get with the Orcs. Now, I would recommend that. I think the Troll Guts is going to be the dope thing. I'm calling it Troll Guts. It's not Troll Guts, but whatever the heck it is. The regen one is going to be key to keeping your stuff alive. Alright, and now we're on to the Orcs and Goblins mounts. Now don't get this confused, it's not just a mount, I just threw it here, because it can be. So a Black Orc Big Boss or Orc War Boss can take this as a mount. If you take this as a mount, you unlock one of these as a troop choice. If you don't want to take these as a troop choice, they are then a rare choice. Now I don't think regular Orc and Goblin armies can take this, because it mentions it in the Nomadic tribes, but it does not mention it in the River Troll and the Troll Horde. So I don't think this is going to be something you can unlock with the basic Orcs and Goblins army roster. So you're going to have to follow the Force Orc to unlock these. But anyways, this chariot's a 3-up armor save. It's packing a Black Orc, which is carrying a hand weapon. It can be upgraded to have an additional hand weapon and also a heavy weapon or a great weapon. It can't take shields, however, and really oddly enough, you can actually pay 10 points to make this a standard bearer, which I'm sure helps counting towards combat res. On top of that, it's a strength and toughness 5 chariot, and it's powered by Orc War Boars, so we all know the profile on that. Now, it does have some good special rules. Choppa's close order, so +1 to combat res. First charge, making it disordered so they don't get their rank bonuses. Furious charge, giving an extra attack to the Black Orcs. Ignore panicked, impact hits D6 +1. Tusker charge. Now, one thing that I found really interesting I wanted to talk about here, and see what your opinions are as a community. I like converting, and I'm in this more for like the hobby aspect and like the narrative aspect, but from a competitive point of view, I can see why this is beneficial. It stayed on the 50 by 100 millimeter base rather than going up to like a 60 by 100, which I thought was kind of odd because most of the bigger chariots tend to go on the 60 by 100. But I'm probably going to convert mine, throw it on a 60 by 100. My community's cool with it, and I just won't be using it at events. But again, kind of weird they left it at 50 by 100. But again, it's probably because they want you to use their chariots to convert as a baseline. Now, moving on to unit profiles here. Making good time too. Making good time. Boom. So, building a Nomadic Wog. Now, we kind of have the basic gist of how we build these with the access to what units, how much % we put towards everything. You can take Black Orc War Bosses, Big Boss, Boar Chariot, Black Orc Chariot, Orc War Boss, Orc Weird Knob, 1 to 1,000 points for those, and then Orc Big Boss, Orc Weird Boys, Goblin Bosses. Any form of boss can be upgraded to a BSB. The core, you must spend at least 25% of your army on Goblin Wolf Rider mobs and Goblin Wolf Chariots. If your general is an Orc boss, 0 to 1 Boar Boy mobs may be taken. If your general's a Black Orc boss, 0 to 1 Black Orc Chariots can be taken. Interesting, right? So special again, 50% of your value. Orc Boar Boy mobs, Orc Boar Chariots, Snotling Pump Wagons. Those are your special. Go in the rare, Black Orc Boar Chariots and Giants. Those are your rare. Now, for Mercenaries, we finally got something to fill it up. We have Badlands Ogres and 0 to 1 Bone Grinder Giant, which is pretty good because it's 300 points for those bad boys. And then a single Orc, Black Orc, or Goblin can be upgraded to a BSB for 25 points. Now, coming over here, you're going to notice a difference. You can pretty much take all the characters as your boss, except instead of Black Orcs, you're going to have Hags. So you're not going to have the Black Orc Big Boss or War Boss. Core, 33% of your army's points value must be spent. 1 troll mob per 1,000 points. An additional troll mob may be taken as a core choice per troll hag taken. You can also spend on orc mobs, goblin spider rider mobs, and goblin wolf rider mobs. So for special, up to 50% of your points can go to troll mobs, goblin wolf chariots, 0 to 1 orc boar boy mobs per 1,000 points, and 0 to 1 orc boar chariots, and your rare is going to be consisting of giants. Now Mercenaries, you can look up the rules on page 279 of the main rulebook, but they're again including the Badlands Ogre Bulls and the Bone Grinder Giants. Let's touch base on the Badland Ogre Bulls here. They're monstrous infantry, 40mm base, hand weapon, light armor, movement 6, weapon skills 3, which is kind of rough, but it makes sense, they're clumsy. Bliss skill 2, strength and toughness 4, 3 wounds, initiative 2, attacks 3 base, 4 in the champion, and leadership 7. Now, this is what befuddled me. The unit per model itself is 31 points a pop. Then on this next stat line below, it says 7 points. Then in the upgrades, it says the Crusher is 6 point upgrade. So the champion is 6 points and 7 points somehow. So I don't know which one it is. If there's been an FAQ, let me know down below because it's been annoying not knowing. So again, your command upgrades are 6 points, banner standard. You can have a magical banner of 50 points. You know, you can upgrade the heavy armor for 4 points, which I would do. And then you can also take additional hand weapon, great weapon, or iron fist. Iron fist we'll talk about in a second. I personally value the additional hand weapon, giving you 4 attacks, plus your gut charge, plus your heavy armor sticking around to be extra brutal. Now they do have some special rules. They have Armor Bane 1, so again, 6s to hit are going to be giving you AP 1. On those additional hand weapons to get extra attack, maybe you do a little more with it, I don't know. Close Order plus 1 to combat, res Fear. Your opponent's going to be taking a leadership check in combat if they fail their weapon skill 1. Impact hits 1. Mercenaries, Motley Crew. Now Motley Crew is interesting. We talked about on the Black Orcs. You can pretty much choose which each individual model has. You can give 1 great weapon, 1 additional hand weapon, 1 iron fist, and that's Motley Crew for you. And then you get the Ogre Charge, which pretty much just gives you plus 1 AP to impact hits. The Iron Fist is unique. Its special rules are plus 1 attack and requires 2 hands. Don't see a use to it, just take the additional hand weapon. Now the Bone Grinder Giant, I'm not going to go through its big ass chart. I'm sorry, it's a pain in the butt. I wasn't going to paraphrase it, take notes, write it down. But what I will say is it's behemoth and its base size can vary between 500 to 100 millimeter minimum to 100 to 150 maximum. I'm using the big rogue idol of Gork back there as a Bone Grinder Giant. 1, because I refuse to buy one, and 2, because when I do buy one, I'm probably going to just use something like King Brood or something like that and just make it a really beautiful piece I put my time on. However, its movement 6, its weapon skills 3, which is like 300 points. Ugh. Bliss skill 1, strength 7, toughness 6, wounds 8, initiative 3. Attacks have an asterisk, and you'll see why in leadership 10. Its equipment's a Bone Grinder, Giant's Club, and Calloused Hide, so you get a 6-up armor save. Special rule, Bone Grinder Giant attacks, close order, immune to psychology, large target, mercenaries, d6 plus 1 stomps, terror, timber for when it falls and dies, and unbreakable. Now the Bone Grinder Giant's attacks work a little bit uniquely. There's a chart for big things, little things, and even bigger things. You roll on that, it's going to be like there's going to be 3 options, so 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. And then you consult the chart and see what he does. So it's a random thing. For 300 points, I personally don't think it's worth it. I ran that thing as a Bone Grinder Giant. It sucked. It didn't do anything except die. But hey, you know what? Maybe that's how it's supposed to go. And then it can also be used in Orcs and Goblins, Beastmen, and Warriors of Chaos. So for any of you Warriors of Chaos or Beastmen players out there, unlock your Bone Grinder Giant now. And then we're going to go on here to the Lords and Heroes. Now, with these, I'm doing these separate because I've already done it. Ogdra's Swamp Diggers video is the top right. Kicknick Tooth Snatch's video on him will be out Tuesday, and the Troll Hags will be out the next day on Wednesday. The reason why is if you watch Ogdrez's, I do the lore breakdown on him, and then I make a little card breaking down his stats for everybody. You can take a screenshot if you want to and save it for your little back pocket if you find it helpful. If not, it's just for me to help break down the information and look appealing on the screen. So there's that. So we're going to be doing Kicknick Tooth Snatch's video, lore and army and unit breakdown on Tuesday, and the Troll Hags on Wednesday. Now, when moving to the summary here, it seems like what the heck? Sorry, a big win. I really like these almanacs. I think they're pretty decent. I think they're cool. And it inspired me to get the other two to talk about them on the channel as well for Tim Kings and Bretonia. Yeah, so much information here to unpack. I like the troll lore of magic. I think troll guts or whatever that spell is, or regen, is super awesome. Probably gonna be keeping it in my back pocket, taking that magic item on a shaman. I actually have the shaman in mind here, this one from Avatars of War. I don't know why it looks so cool. It looks like it would know troll magic, but yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm gonna be doing. Yeah, if you want to follow along, right now we're doing a campaign. It's just me, some friends, and my daughter. Right now, I'm painting the armies on stream, which on Mondays and Tuesdays will be at 9:30 to 3. And then in the evening, I'll be painting around 10:30 to 11:30, 12:30, just because of work and everything in between that I got to do. My new upload schedules are going to be for characters Tuesday and Wednesday. And then will be Friday, some sort of lore breakdown, whether it be an almanac or an army book. An army. So this next Friday, I'm probably going to come out with Tomb Kings, break them down, and then the next following Friday, I'll do their almanac. This is going to be my consistent schedule. This is what I can promise to you guys to keep up on. Catch me live. I stream on both Twitch and YouTube at this point. Come by, hang out. We're coming up with names for the units of orcs that I'll be taking. So far, my warlord is called Skazbag Neckbreaker. If you go into my videos, you don't have to watch it or anything. I'm not trying to get the view. But go in the description. That description is going to update as he takes wins and losses and adds units. And I'm just going to get goofy with it and do it something for fun for the channel, like a personal project, you know. Give a little character. I am not a competitive guy by any means. I like this game. It's relaxing. It's fun to throw down and come up with my own stories and just goof off with my family and friends. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. If you guys disagree with anything, let me know in the comments below. If you see something that I missed, let me know. I'm human. I make mistakes, or I misremember some rules here and there. So, anytime you guys can correct me would be awesome, because it just helps me remember the rules faster. Everyone, thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, and night. And I will be on stream later on today around 10:30 Central Standard Time. Peace.